Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we'll be going over how to properly level the build plate for the CR10 Smart Pro since it's different than your standard printer. To start things off, we'll first need to lower the build plate prior to starting the leveling process. From the main menu, you'll go to Settings, Level, and wait for the hot end probe to center to the build plate. From here, you'll use the up and down arrows to set the probe offset. In this case, we want the nozzle to just barely touch the build plate or be slightly raised if it crashes into the surface. Now this machine doesn't allow for extreme fine tuning of this feature, so we'll go through some other ways around those issues later on. By selecting any of the corner numbers, the hot end assembly will automatically move to that location and you'll be able to adjust the leveling nut for that corner of the build plate. Repeat this procedure for each of the corners, making sure to double check these before moving on to the next step. With the basic leveling completed, you'll now do an auto bed leveling. This creates a leveling mesh that's retained in the machine's memory and allows it to compensate for an uneven surface. For this to be effective, you'll first want to preheat the nozzle and the build plate, making sure that the nozzle is clean from any debris. Once this is complete, you can then double check your print leveling by doing a short print which fits the build surface. For this example, I will be using a custom file that I've created, but you can use anything that's similar. I designed this one to print in a continuous loop depending on the number of brim lines, so I'll be using this to my advantage, and as always, this file will be available on the main website. While the printer is moving, we can now adjust the offset if necessary to make sure that it doesn't crash into the bed but has the correct height. If you still have to make additional adjustments, then this is where your slicer settings and start G-code will come into play. If you have problems with the initial layer being too high off the build plate, you can compensate slightly through your slicer settings. If you're new to 3D printing, this might be the least daunting option. For this example, I'm using 𝐃𝐢𝐟𝐼𝐞𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐭, but most slicers will have an option which is very similar to this one. Under the Materials tab, you'll go to the initial layer flow and increase this slightly. Since the build surface is so textured on this machine, it does allow for more flexibility with your flow rate, but I wouldn't increase this too much, otherwise the first layer will lift off onto itself because it's becoming over compressed. If it's more than 10% higher than your actual flow rate, then you'll want to use the following method instead. You can go to Settings, Configure Settings and Visibility, Printers, Machine Settings, where you can expand the Start G-code window. From here you can modify this line to adjust it to the amount that's needed. This line appears in two areas of the Start G-code. The first is for the purge line and the second is for the actual print. The portion which controls the initial print height is in this part here, so you'll either increase it if it's too close or decrease it if it's too high up. The good news is that because we've already set the Z offset using the menu options, we know that this value will be within 0.5 increments. So make your necessary changes and do your test prints to verify your results. Making adjustments with this method does make it more accurate, and for those of you who are even slightly familiar with G-code, this might be the best option. With your bed leveling complete, you should now be able to have a much better chance of your 3D prints succeeding. I've started creating downloadable support files and mods for the machines I've reviewed, so if you're looking for some additional information, I would suggest you follow the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you and take care.